Hello everyone, welcome back to SportsKhabri. With me are Adi and Rishi. I thought Rishi you picked it up from Sky Sports Saturday Social, but apparently not. Yeah, it has been doing the rounds on social media. Mohamed Salah, is he the best Premier League winger ever? Um, Fair few players I think have been mentioned in the conversation: Cristiano Ronaldo, Riyad Mahrez, Raheem Sterling. But yeah, I mean, just to kick it off, what is Mohamed Salah's legacy, bro? Right now, if he leaves Liverpool at the end of 2025, at the end of the 24-25, what is the legacy he's leaving behind? Is he the best Liverpool player ever? Rishi, what do you think now?
I Liverpool player, I don't know. I think that is something I think we should ask Liverpool fans
Liverpool
also
fans, yeah,
because they
fair.
will they will also have a say in it because I don't know. I haven't I've watched the peak of Gerrard, but I from what I've read, apparently Gerrard used to single-handedly carry that team. I don't know to what, but whatever. That's my United side talking. But then again,
Mm.
he was supposed to be a brilliant player in a not so world class team, and he carried the team to like they overachieved a lot more than they should have. But then again, from what I've seen of Mo Salah, I think the way he has evolved, I think the way he has he came in I think this he is again one of those examples of a pacey winger, or rather than who slowly turned into a goal scorer, and now he's showing a little bit more creative side also. Like he has transitioned well, I feel, in all aspects. And more than that, he you see you don't see many wingers who can stay wingers over the course of their career. Like it's usually they start out pretty fast as wingers, and then usually you see them transition into more either box presence, or they turn backwards into midfielders, so that they don't have
Mm.
to physically exert themselves. But then I think Salah's he's pretty much broken the mold in the sense that he's kept himself at the peak of his fitness. Like you see the number of tweets and the number of reports written on his physical, like him clearing the physical tests with flying colors even in the pre-seasons. So I feel, and given that he is a Premier League winner, it's not like we're talking about
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
who, someone like you'd say Harry Kane. Although he has a lot of goals and assists, he hasn't touched the Premier League silverware. I think Mo Salah has pretty much won everything there is to be won in the club level. So I think it goes a little bit under the radar because he isn't one of those flashy names. He isn't one of those English names that the English press would push forward. I think because of that, I feel his name gets lost in the midst. But I think he should definitely be there. For me, I think he is probably Premier League's greatest winger of all time.
Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. Okay, 371 appearances for Liverpool, 227 goals, 100 assists. Premier League winner, Champions League winner. Is likely to go on and win a second Premier League this year. So, a lot of things going in his favor. Adi, is he the best Premier League winger according to you? Or okay, let's keep it to the players we've seen. I think, of course, it makes sense that we talk about the players that we've seen, and um, yeah, and then we can sort of go about it. Have you seen a better Premier League wing in our generation
In my generation, yeah, I mean, in terms of, see,
in the
again,
Premier
I
League?
think,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The thing with Salah for me is I don't know if I can say he's the best footballer I've seen or football player I've seen. I can agree that he is the most consistent player I've seen. I can tell you that in terms of output, in terms of his work rate on the ball, in terms of the way he can shift a game on the counter attack. He has been consistently dangerous for the past 6 seasons he's been in the Premier League. But if it comes down to an overall package, I really don't. I've seen a lot of wingers who can do it, or in terms of just technical quality, in terms of overall technical security. And for me, I have a more biasness towards uh, players who can generally, play an all-rounded game in terms of not be very prone to just counter attacking football. I think for me it's more about can you play in different contexts of games, low blocks in terms of pulling a defender outside wide and beating 2 3 people. Salah has done that. I can't say he's not done that, but overall consistently I've never seen that much from him. But for me, I would still like put players like Riyad Mahrez above him because I really truly believe. I mean, just in terms of trophy, going and winning Leicester City a Premier League title, being the best player in the Leicester City team, in terms of the way he was able to change, even Manchester City, the way he was able to bring Manchester City into games in terms of a lot of technical security, in terms of better first touches, and in terms of being able to be more dangerous from wide and from closer angles. For me, it's more of just a biasness through the eyes, because
Yeah,
in terms of Salah, I think he's very, for me it looks like he's more prone to like a counter attacking player, and like he needs to be isolated with wingers to really get the best out of him. And someone like Mahrez, for me, I always felt like he had more technical security. I feel like you put a block in front of him, he will somehow try to unlock that block. It's not just himself; he would also create chances for his teammates, etc. And even in the inside the box, when you're especially on the edge of the corner line, the way he had the ability to beat a man or two if it's very tight there, and put a cross and chip it to the back post. For me, technically, again, I just say it's biasness, and like I always felt Mahrez is a superior player. For me, Mahrez is one of my favorite wingers. I would, from what I've seen in my generation, how much ever that it was, like I really wanted him to come to Arsenal. I knew it was like a deal that was should have been done and could have been done. And that's just like one player I always like, oh, if this guy was there, I'm sure Arsenal would have won a title long ago. So, and for me, it's more of he is the proper winner. He's a guy who's won also the African Cup of Nations for Algeria. He's done it for City also, like won the treble, won multiple Premier Leagues, like in top going against Salah's Liverpool. So I just feel like I would always push Mahrez,
yeah,
and I feel like he's underrated because of the guy. For him playing in Man City under Pep, etc., it goes under the radar. But
yeah.
I really do believe without Mahrez, they wouldn't have been, at that level for that consistency also, because he brought a different dynamic into the squad.
Bro, I agree. Like, actually, like, again, this is, I don't think the numbers compare, but at least just going off the eye test, for me, Riyad Mahrez is one of my favorite wingers in the world. Like, I think he's definitely the best winger I've seen in the Premier League. We've had this conversation in the past also, and I've like whenever this comes up, is Salah the best winger you've seen? But he's very robotic in a sense. Like, he's not the most elegant winger, which is very odd, right? Because when you talk about wingers, you think they can just beat a man or two, shift their body left, right, and then yeah, you can just quite easily beat a man. And left-footed wingers have something beautiful about them. I just don't think Salah has that. Like Mahrez, every time he cuts inside, he's going to find the corner. You don't know what you're going to get with Salah. It's sometimes he might go near post, he might just put his laces through it, but Mahrez is going to, yeah, again, just the eye test. And also what Adi said, I feel like he's someone who's gone seriously under the radar. Salah, I think, is the man at Liverpool, and he has been for a while now. He's on penalties. The conversation's always about what Mo Salah is going to do. His contract's running out. Nobody are people really talking as much as about Van Dijk or Trent? I don't think so. I think Salah is still being spoken about way more than the other two are. And I don't think that was ever the case with Mahrez. He was always, again, just someone who did his job. Um, I don't think any player under Pep would get the amount of limelight that Salah does at Liverpool. And that's just what happened to him. And I think City have missed him, bro. Like, ever since Mahrez is gone, I think City have missed a proper right-sided winger. Yeah, they've got Savinho in, but like I don't think he matches to what Mahrez brought to the
Mourinho
team. And
hasn't scored a goal for City yet, by the way, and we're
yeah,
in
that's
December.
exactly. But it's not just him; it's whoever you put on the right side. It's nothing compared to what Mahrez brought. So, and again, winning the league with Leicester, it was him and Conte. Like, just that, all of that together, I think is amazing. Like, are there any other wingers that you guys can think of? Like, and these basically the reason that I can say, go on.
See,
Salah's not the best
like
winger. I test.
I
I'm just going to say.
I agree with you in the sense that is he the most aesthetically pleasing? No, like I have like seen much more aesthetically pleasing wingers. They can they have a certain guile about it. Like it's like almost like they turn it into a craft. You see it, and like when Hazard was in his prime, like the way he used to take the ball and dribble past players. Like of course he was not very aesthetic per se, but again, he had a way of putting himself in between, like the way of him getting out of tight spaces, and he could pretty much play anywhere in the, like, just behind the striker. He could play as a 10, he could play on either sides. The same thing goes, I think, with Sanchez also. Again, like, another one of the players I really liked, like, because he was again one of those versatile players who could play in the front line, like play as a 10, play as a winger. It's just, for me, like, Salah, it's not just him as a winger. Like, he has had certain transformations as, like, because I remember when at the start of his Liverpool career, him and Mane were pretty much the inside forwards. Like, Firmino
Yeah.
used to drop back. Their job was pretty much run in behind and score the goals. And then
Yeah.
they moved into a side which started having the ball a little bit more. The team started controlling possession. And during his initial days, their job was, like, his job was not to create per se. Like, he had Trent and Robertson from both the flanks, and then slowly they lost Henderson, they lost Trent, in the sense that Trent started moving a lot more into midfield. So that means, like, Salah has had to hold the width.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I see Salah, like, the way he has adapted, like, during his initial days, like, I would never see him use his right leg as much. Like, I would never see him, like, stretch the play, in the sense, use his right leg and try and cross the ball. Like, I see him nowadays, I see him, like, again, using his right leg, staying out wide, and, like, I see Soboslai using that inside channel a lot more. Like, he initially, it was all about him, but I feel that is an aspect that he has brought about, like, not just himself or the secondary goal scorer, but I feel he has brought other players also, because now that he has got that reputation, I directly saw this in the game against United, because Dalot is someone who goes in and closes down wingers as quick as possible. He's very aggressive. But then when Salah got the ball on the right wing, like, he gave Salah a little bit, like, a couple of steps, and that led Luis Diaz into space, and Szoboszlai into space. Like, he has the power of, like, managing, like, getting spaces, finding spaces, or letting others also in. And it's just that when I see him, like, I can't remember the last time, like, pretty much my adult life, I've seen him bang goals left, right, center with the sheer
Yeah.
consistency. And I like, to this point, I'm not seeing a dip. Like, maybe in his athleticism, maybe in his sheer raw pace, but other than that, his shots are still accurate. He hasn't lost that firepower in front of goal. And I don't think I've seen anyone, maybe the strikers, say, I've seen Harry Kane do that consistently. But other than that, I like De Bruyne up, like, if unfortunately he's like a little bit injury ridden. But other than that, I haven't seen anyone play with such consistency. Like, Hazard dipped after a while. Like, Gareth Bale, he left the league. Like, you have aesthetic wingers, but I feel either their numbers don't match up, or they've had to change their playing style. I think the only person who has performed to the peak at a consistent level, I think, is Salah. I think that is why, for me, he cuts above the rest.
Just one question there. Like, you mentioned like all these players. Of course, let's not. I probably won't discuss Bales and for a little lesser time Ronaldo's, but all these other guys that you mentioned. You mentioned Alexis Sanchez. You mentioned Eden Hazard. You mentioned. We also spoke about Mahrez and Salah. Out of all these players, if you had to take one to United, who would it be? Would it be Salah?
Dude, we have United. We have craved for a proper goal scorer for ages. I think I'm closing my eyes and taking Salah. Like, we need a consistent goal scorer.
Fair enough. Adi, would you? I mean, you said Mahrez, so I'm guessing you would you take Mahrez at Arsenal?
I mean, technically, I would actually choose Bale overall, but the only thing I didn't take Bale is because he had like a bigger peak and higher peak in Real Madrid, and
Mm-mm.
if I knew it was like you can get Bale etc. in the Premier League, I would have actually gone with Bale because again, like when I really started watching football, even though I'm an Arsenal fan, Bale was one of my favorite players like since a kid because dude, that guy was like just a demon as a winger. Like I've never seen any physically strong winger like Bale at that point of time who could whip the ball from anywhere. Like he was a guy who could take any player on just on the ability of his pace, but he had very good technical skills. And like he was a guy who could dribble very good. He was very similar to Mahrez, but like it's like Mahrez plus like a guy on like crazy speed and like just like a beast. So I would
Adama
like let me
Traore.
choose Bale. yeah, I mean, an actual Adama Traore who can play football, like in terms of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, that guy was just dangerous, bro. Like, this videos I've seen, again, I really was young. I was like 12, 13 when, like, Bale left Tottenham. I really couldn't watch much of his football. But, like, I remember seeing clips of him. I remember, like, again, over the years, watching, like, old clips of him in the Premier League. And I'm like, bro, I've never seen a player do that, technically as a winger. Like, I've just never seen, like, pure pace, but you have the technical capacity, you have the shot power, you have the whip on your left foot. Oh my God, bro, that was crazy. But again, bringing back to Salah, for me, the problem with me and Salah is he's a guy who thrives in certain situations. And that's why I get back to the fact that if I had a guy like Mahrez or even Bale to an extent, I always feel like these players played majority under low blocks. Like you go to Bale with Real Madrid, he had a lot of, it was a bit of both. Like there were teams where he had to open up the game by, just scoring goals against, oppositions that's very deep in their own box. Same thing with Mahrez. Playing with City, it's going to happen 95% of the time where you're like sitting and trying to unlock very, very deep blocks against teams, where they're going to put 4, 5 defenders, especially in the era of like, Pep, under Pep City. There are teams who come putting 5 defenders. I mean, we've seen it not work out, but having the capacity to open that, deep low blocks. When you're playing against deep low blocks, you have having the ability to open that through creating of chances, through dribbling certain players, etc. Like I think Mahrez did that great to a greater extent, and he did that both in terms of counter-attacking football. I remember a lot of games against PSG, against Tottenham also. Like there were games where he could be dangerous through a counter-attack and through low blocks consistently in terms of like a longer period of time. For me and Salah, it's like you'll see most of his goals. It is always out on the run of play. It is
Yeah,
always on.
it is
He always
usually on
plays
the
on the
play.
edge,
Yeah.
back of the last defender or back of the last fullback, whoever is the closest man to him defending. Every time you see Salah score a goal, it is always like it's an isolated situation where it's okay. Maybe 1 or 2 players are there in the box, and that's where he's very dangerous. But I've also seen him come against a bit of a low block, especially when I watch against Arsenal. The only 2 times he was dangerous this season was that goal when he scored, and that was purely based on a counter attack against a kid and a guy who just came and played his first 15 minutes of high level of football. And the way we scored, it was basically on the run of play. We lost the ball in our own final third. Trent Alexander gets the ball, he just whips it in, and Darwin Nunes gets the ball, runs straight, and then Salah makes a diagonal run. He scores. It's a goal is basically on a basis of okay, it was 2v2. He's faster. We always know he's going to get to the end of a ball quicker than a defender, and he scores that. But throughout the game, when he was really man marked, I didn't really see much of him that game. I go back to last
Mm,
season also when Tomiyasu was defending against him, if I'm not wrong. He was locked. Not last season, sorry, last to last season. Because
mm.
last season he missed the home game. I'm not.
Zinchenko.
That game, Tomiyasu locked him the entire game, and we played a very low block after a while in that game. Like in terms of our Arsenal defensive shape, we had, you know, 2 blocks of four defenders, 4 midfielders while defending. And when he faces teams that are more disciplined in terms of defense, you can see him struggle a lot. And physically, you can manhandle him if you want to. And if you're a strong defender, if you have the ability to, mark him tight and, have that confidence, it is going to be tough for him to, really get the better of you. And I've seen that over time when like he faces good defenders, he does struggle. It's not like
Mm.
he's going to, make it an easy game for him and dominate the fullback when they're good at defending primarily. And I've seen that a lot. And that's why I come back to the thing of like Klopp's style of play really suited him. Like most of the goals
Yeah,
he
it
scores
is.
is a lot of it is based on counter attack. And I mean, I'm not going to sit in. For me, it's like if my team loses the ball and there's a man like Salah going behind, I'm going to get scared. I seriously still do get scared. That going back to that goal against Arsenal, I knew he's going to score that goal. Last season, the 1-1 draw against Liverpool, I remember when Zinchenko, like the ball goes, I don't remember who hit the ball, but the ball was hit diagonally and it went towards the edge of the side. And it was a
Yeah,
1v1 against Zinchenko. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to beat Zinchenko because he's not at all a good defender. And he's going to be dangerous after he beats a defender because he has so much space to exploit.
yeah.
But in the same situation, if he had to, go past 3, 4 players, I would have been more confident. I would have been like, yeah, we can, suss this out and maybe not concede a goal. And for me, it's always like that. There are certain things like with Mahrez, every time he cut in and I could see two blocks of players, I still thought, okay, he can still score or create a chance. And there are other players also, like to an extent, even Sanchez. He's a guy who played a lot of low block and was able to, create a lot. Even with Eden Hazard, he was able to create a lot. For me, it's just a matter of if I have a game where it's going to be different dynamics in each game, I would not. I wouldn't say it's unfair to like back Salah. I think he can do it. I've seen him score goals where he's dribbled past 2-3 players. I think it was against Tottenham where he scored a free goal like 4-5 years ago. But
Against
overall,
Everton, that Puskas goal also, no?
I mean,
In
that was
Anfield.
just, bro. I don't think that was a Puskas award.
You
But
want to
like,
talk
yeah.
about the Chelsea one?
Chelsea or Everton? He cut past some 2-3 people and then put it in the top corner.
I think it was Chelsea,
I don't
but
remember.
the
But
one from outside the box, no, just
but
outside.
that was just a curler, bro. I remember that was just a curler.
Yeah,
If
it
I'm
was
not
just a
wrong.
curler.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
just a
not even
goal.
a. So the thing is, like it wasn't even like a
Bro,
curler.
I've seen Salah score better goals, like in
It wasn't
general.
even like a
Yeah, I
curler.
know.
Curler. It was like, yeah, it's weird, but yeah.
But
No, but
yeah, but
I
again
think
with
that's
Salah, for me,
good.
it's like he's very dangerous. But for me, it's more like I would have a profile which is where I've seen in my own eyes to a greater extent who can do different things at different times.
Mm.
And I just feel like Mahrez is one of those rare players where he goes under the radar, but in terms of pure technicality, he was one of the best wingers I've ever seen.
Yeah. Just quickly, before we wrap up, 284 appearances in the Premier League for Mahrez, 82 goals, 60 assists, of course, a buttload of Premier League trophies to go with that. So, yeah, that's that. Please do let us know, guys, in the comments if you think Mohamed Salah is the best Premier League winger of all time. Thanks, boys, for joining in. Like and share the video, subscribe to SportsKhabri, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.